So what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Morning Ackerman channel, and in this episode I'm going to talk to you about why I've come to love the Galaxy Z Fold 7, my 8-month later update on this phone. I absolutely love this device, and let me tell you one thing about it first of all, and that is that the hinge definitely is more durable than ever before, but it also has broken in a bit. You can see my crease, I feel like, is a little bit more visible than day one. And also the phone, actually, when I close it, it feels a little bit looser than the initial first month that I had the phone. So I definitely feel that, but it doesn't feel like to the point where like it's a durability concern. So I definitely feel like Samsung is definitely telling the truth when they talk about how these phones are built to last those hundreds of thousands of folds. It still feels incredibly durable. I do like that. Let me just get that out of the way first of all. Now, a quick recap on the specifications. They do have an 8-inch inner display on the Z Fold 7, and they do have a side mounted fingerprint right there. We also do have ourselves 200 megapixel main camera and a 4400 milliamp hour battery on board. And then on the front, finally, the display on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 feels closer to that of a normal phone. And that has been one of the key separators as to why I've really enjoyed this Fold specifically, is a 6.5 inch display on the front. And if Apple's rumors of their Fold, well, the rumors of the Apple iPhone Fold that's potentially coming does go to the passport style, I think that, you know, if Samsung launches a wide fold, that'll be the competitor, but this will still be an interesting option for those of you who want a taller device so you can kind of split taller applications. This might be a little bit better for productivity, whereas those other wider folds will be a little bit better for media consumption. So do keep that in mind. This will still be a pretty decent option. This also does have the Qualcomm, and when it comes to performance, this phone actually has the 8 Elite CPU for Galaxy in here, and it has absolutely flown through pretty much everything I have been doing since I've had this device. So those are some of the key specifications that matter on board here. Now let's talk about what I think about the phone itself. We'll begin with the front. We talked a little bit about how I said it does feel a lot more like a normal phone, but what's really nice about it is that you actually feel like you can stay on this screen majority of the day if you want. And then when you do have an opportunity to go ahead and consume some media, kick back, do whatever, the Fold display opens to this much like bigger feeling inner display than previous before. So, you know, you have an 8-inch panel on board in here, and it just absolutely looks glorious. This really feels somewhat like a mini tablet here pretty much all the time at your disposal. Also, we do have the ability to bring these two applications in, and it's so useful, especially for those of you who just kind of like don't want to keep flipping between applications to do something. Now, I don't really love, I know they have this feature, I haven't really loved this triple split screen. I mean, it's useful occasionally. Hold on, that's the same app. Let me bring something else in. This triple split screen is useful occasionally, but it kind of makes these other apps just way too small, so I don't really love using that mode too much, but it's good in a pinch. I mostly just love the dual split screen here. Most foldables can do this. I wish Samsung would bring one of those triple multitasking, kind of like what the OnePlus Open does and some of the other Chinese foldables, where they kind of have that triple split screen. That to me is a little bit of a better solution for triple multitasking. But yeah, or even to do 4 apps. They came out with the Z Trifold, which puts 3 apps there, but we could still probably put some software where we can like just move them over, kind of like they do on the other foldables. So that's something to note about my experience. I definitely thought that would have been useful. But the inner display has been absolutely glorious. I just really, really love just the entire, you know, the size of it, the actual color accuracy, the display itself is sharp on pretty much either one you go with. If we go over to display, you have these different modes on here, like adaptive color tone, which is something like True Tone on an iPhone. You have extra brightness if you want to tweak that up. The display has just been so good. Also, you can go into vivid mode, make it a little bit more vivid if you think it's a little bit too natural looking for you. And it doesn't have some of those things users are complaining about with the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra. So no privacy display on board here, but the overall display has just been really, really fun to use, including playing games and stuff like that. Now, when you go to, let me go ahead and turn this down. When you go into like Chrome, you can actually put multiple tabs across the screen. But yeah, playing games here has been super fun. It's an expansive display. And one thing I don't love about it though has been that punch hole right there. I missed the folds that had the UDC. I understand that those cameras didn't look great at all, but I didn't ever use really the inner display camera, so I didn't really care. This I notice a lot. Sometimes when I'm split screening, I do get stuff in that little hole right there, and it just kind of annoys me. That's one thing I'm not a fan about with this phone. I'm also not a fan of the lack of S Pen support. I wish it did have it. And one thing about when we're in this mode I notice is compared to previous folds, and I think this is happening because of the thinness, it just doesn't feel quite as sturdy in the flex. This mode right here where we're flexed into this area, it feels a little bit like the hinge is a little bit like looser in that area where when you do this. But other than that, I think it comes down to the thinness of this phone. But other than that, it's been really fantastic. I also like the camera design on the rear. It looks exactly like the Galaxy S26 Ultra. So the S26 Ultra actually borrowed like this design here from the Fold, although it does create that same rock on the table like the S26 line of phones do. So you do deal with that unless you put it in a case. And this is the perfect opportunity to show you the case I've been using. It's just a cheap case from Amazon. No sponsor here, but I will drop an affiliate link down below if you want to check this one out. I've enjoyed this one because it doesn't have like that sticky stuff on it. It's pretty cheap, and it kind of takes away that rock on the table. You can see it barely rocks at all anymore, and looks pretty neat on there. Also, it provides a lot of grip to this phone and doesn't add too much thickness. So this is the MagSafe type case I've been using, magnetic case I've been using for the Fold. And it allows you to put accessories on there and charge it as well. So pretty neat right there to have a grippy case on board. Another display that's very good is the outer display. It's also vivid, it's also bright. And this cover display here does give you 120 Hertz, 422 pixels per inch. So it's also very sharp. I do notice if you want to nitpick that the display is not as sharp as some of the sharpest panels out there, but it's very much not that noticeable though. Most people are not going to care whatsoever that the inner display is 368 ppi versus like 400, 500 plus on the S line. It's just, to me, it's just not a big deal because when you're reading, you don't even think about it. It's sharp enough, and the amount of usability that this thing brings you is insane compared to a regular S line phone. And for that reason, I'm starting to really take these folds more serious these days, because when you're like on the move and when you have your hands full, you definitely can really take a lot of advantage of this screen size. It really does feel like you're bringing your computer in your pocket. Get yourself a foldable keyboard, get yourself a mouse, attach it or connect it to the Fold, and you can have like this little portable workstation tiny in your pocket. This is a pretty amazing product there when it comes to that. Same with the elusive Galaxy Z Trifold, giving you that extra panel off to the right. But this to me has been enough. And one thing about that is much thicker. So I really do love the Z Fold 7 for its thinness. It's been one of its best traits the entire year, just being so thin. And it's really noticeable. It really doesn't look that much thinner or that much thicker than your average competing larger smartphone. So let's say you wanted to pick up a Galaxy S26 Ultra. Let's go ahead and pull this thing out of the case, and we'll show you how this looks next to a Z Fold 7. And you'll see the thickness is basically the same. It's not even that much different. The main thing you go with the Ultra line for is you go for the durability. You go for the S Pen. You go for the standard slab style phone. But I got to tell you, the Z Fold is really catching up, and I'm actually very excited to see what the Z Fold 8 brings, what the Z Fold or wide fold is going to look like. It's exciting times for the foldable space, as it's definitely been getting much better lately. And one of the things I really love about the Z Fold 7 is the software. The One UI makes this phone super fun to use, but it brings a level of productivity you just don't find on a lot of slab style phones. Now, on competing foldable phones, you do tend to find a lot of the similar features, But one thing I really love about the Z Fold is that you can have like your own fold layout, and then on the front cover display, you can have apps laid out differently. A lot of folds actually will bring, foldable phones will bring the apps from the cover display into the interior with no way to change it. A lot of them do that. This one doesn't. So you can have two separate layouts, which makes it really feel like you're in a different environment when you come inside of the unfolded display area. So definitely that is really, really nice right there for this phone. This is the 12 gig of RAM model, and it does have the storage upgrade, which I'm a little bit concerned we're not going to see that once again coming this year. I bet you we're going to go to 256 gigs due to the AI boom taking up making the memory costs go up. So I think we're probably going to see no free memory upgrade this year. So this is definitely was a good advantage to take advantage of this if you got the Z Fold 7 512 gig on board. But I have the 12 gig of RAM option here, and it has been plenty fine. 12 gigs of RAM seems to be the sweet spot for Samsung phones, where they tend to perform well throughout the duration of your ownership without having too many issues. But if you go up from there, you're just getting even more premium with the RAM. You're going to get yourself up to like about 16 gigs with the 1 terabyte option. But like I say, I've also loved the black color. I know a lot of reviewers you might have seen have the blue. I personally like this color. It's sleek. It looks professional. It looks premium, and it ages well, you know, because it's very neutral. You don't feel like you're using the color that came out of that year. You just feel like you're using a standard black phone. So I definitely enjoy the color option as well. I notice, if you notice on the Z Fold 7, they don't say Samsung on the back. They say it on the side here, right within the hinge area. So you'll see right there, Samsung. And you can see it's so thin actually that they've actually made this phone kind of feel like they had to cram that Samsung logo in there. Down here at the bottom, we do have ourselves a fast USB-C charging area, speaker grill right there, microphone hole. But what's neat about this phone is you also still have a SIM card tray, and you see just how remarkably thin that is right there, that they were able to get that SIM card tray in there. So pretty impressive engineering to pull this device off right here. I definitely enjoyed that. So 8 months later, I also like that they put the 200 megapixel camera on board in here. It does allow you to get really sharp results, at least on the main lens. What I don't love about the Z Fold 7 is the zooming ability is not as good as the Ultra. And I think for this price, they should just put the actual Ultra cameras on the Fold. I don't know what they're waiting for. You're charging significantly more for this phone, yet we're getting more similar to like the Galaxy Edge cameras that had the 200 megapixel, but then not the other suite of features. It's kind of like a mix up between the Ultra line and the baseline. You get the 200 megapixel similar to the Ultra, but you don't get the zoom, you don't get all the log recording, all that jazz, or all that, you know, LUT stuff, and, you know, all the features that come with the Ultra line, but you get most of them. So it's been the best Z Fold camera yet, but still, I think there's a lot of area for improvement on here. Also, it's not as wide as what you'll see on the iPhone, but still plenty acceptable. It still does those features where you can look at the camera on the cover display, so cover screen preview and stuff of that sort. Most foldable phones do that, so it's not really special to the Z Fold 7, but I wanted to point it out. And I just love the fact that I have a 200 megapixel, and I like that at least Samsung's paying attention, but we do need to see them start to put closer to the Ultra line of cameras, I think, in here, because this really is a phone that we're going for as an all-in-one option, the main option that we want to use. The battery life has not been extremely impressive, but it does get me through a day. So I'm going to call this battery acceptable. It makes it through a day, and it doesn't really struggle to do so, but it does drain a lot more when you do have the display open, and a lot quicker. For those of you who want the best battery backup, I don't recommend this device particularly. I think the larger batteries in the Ultras, the Max phones, they last longer. Of course, they're larger batteries, but this one is good enough for what the product is. It's going to get you through the day. It charges pretty fast, and it's fine. It does a good job. That's all I'm going to say about it there. One thing I have loved about the Z Fold 7 is the fingerprint sensor right here. I just love that thing right there. The way it's mounted, it's pretty easy to respond to the finger. One thing I don't like about it though is at first you do have to get used to how thin it is. But I do love the fact that I think it's the best solution for unlocking a phone. It's right where your thumb would rest on the device. You don't have to do all this. You don't have to bring the phone to your face. You just click and boom, you're right in. So that to me is one of the best ways to get in the phone, period, on this device. So let me go ahead and wrap this video up. It's been 8 months later. The battery has been acceptable. The phone still to this day feels premium. The AI features are nice. They have the same AI features. You just seen one of the cons right there. It's a little bit hard to open at first. You do get used to it after time. But the cameras have been pretty good. They can improve there. The One UI is solid. It doesn't get updated quite as fast to me as the Ultra line does, but still it does get the updates eventually. It's not the fastest charging in the world, but I still love everything this phone can do. It's extremely fun to use. But on the Galaxy AI, you still have most of the same AI features. Hold down here, you can circle to search, hold on the power button, and you can activate Gemini. So most of the AI features that are on the other phones are here as well. This does have a slower Bluetooth 5.4 versus some other phones, but it hasn't really bothered me too much. Seems to work just fine. So yeah, 8 months later, I've been loving it. It does feel a little bit looser at the hinge over time as it works every single day in your usage. The crease, I think, does look a little bit more visible now than it used to. And that bug right there happens sometimes where like the screen just goes white. That's something I don't like as well. But overall, I tend to have really loved this phone over the time I've been using it. And I think it's getting to that point where it really does feel like it can be your daily phone. You still have to be careful with that inner display. This is still not the most durable option on the market, but it definitely is very, very useful tool if you don't want to have a tablet and you don't have a phone. You just want to have one product. This really does get to that point where you can really replace at least like something like an iPad mini. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts on the Z Fold 7, whether you're planning to buy one, you have some questions, or you have one and you want to share some of your thoughts down below. Go ahead and make sure you can drop those down below in the comments. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Peace.